If you're the biggest email company, why would that not be the thing?
Doesn't it?
I can barely understand what the problem is here.
Yeah, this is so technical. The way you're explaining it is just above us.
It's
If
like
I
when you
go
open
to an
it,
email to find...
I have to pee so bad that I can't listen to this right now. You know, like
Go
when you have to
pee.
pee.
Go
and
pee.
okay, you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, go pee.
we'll hold it down.
We'll start our periods
You
together.
want to get crazy?
Oh, hell
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna hit the salts.
Oh, yeah.
All right, ready?
All right.
So Rogan's pretty much done at this point. His podcast reached its peak a few weeks ago when he had Elon Musk on, and now it's back to random comedians who I've never heard of having their 15 minutes of fame. I pay for Spotify Premium and I sat through around a dozen 60 to 90 second ad reads throughout this 2.5 hour train wreck of a podcast. And you can tell Rogan's done with it. He's just in autopilot while he rakes in those ad dollars. I'm convinced now that he'll die behind that microphone. We're over 2,000 episodes deep on JRE and he's well and truly exhausted all opportunities and guests. And it's not just me who thought this episode was one of his worst. Just reading the comments on the clips that he posts to YouTube tells the entire story. Here are the top 5 comments from the first clip that he posted. Joe should have just interviewed Jamie for this episode. Joe really took one for the team with this one. Huge props to whoever fully watched this episode. Geez. Our patience and compassion is being tested today, brothers. Bless up, stay strong, be kind. Joe went from thought-provoking guests to nerve-provoking guests. So here are the top 5 comments from the second clip that he posted right here on YouTube. If you don't need a brain to feel the vibes, these two really feel the vibes. It's so heartwarming to see Joe Rogan bring these Make-A-Wish kids on the podcast. Sweet guy. Boys, if these two can make it on JRE, there's hope for us. I lost the last few brain cells I had listening to these two. I now identify as an octopus. Of all the scientists Joe decided to have this conversation with, yeah, ain't that the truth? And the worst part is, this isn't the first time he's had Kim Congdon. Oh, geez. So this isn't the first time Rogan had King Kong and some other random chick on his podcast. Their first appearance was episode 1983 earlier this year in May, and for some reason he thought it was a good idea to bring them back for a second go. And boy, did they disappoint.
Welcome to town.
Thanks.
Like legit, you guys are here now.
We're here now.
How's it feel?
It feels good.
Have you said y'all yet?
Y'all.
I've been saying y'all.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When
I'm
did you
from
start?
Florida.
Oh,
Y'all.
right. You gotta
Y'all.
look. Florida's weird. It's like
Y'all
it's
and
kind
Saul.
of southern, but it's not really.
Yeah. Like SAW. Saul.
What?
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him over there.
No.
I saw him.
What are you saying? Solemn?
I saw him.
Are you saying it's solemn?
I saw him.
But you're saying it all together
Solemn.
like solemn.
Yeah, like I saw him
solemn-
over
What
there.
a solemn moment.
No, like I
post
saw him.
9/11.
Like, oh, shit, he went over there. I just saw him.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow, brilliant. That was literally the first 2 minutes of the podcast, so it got off to a blinding start. And if you're wondering who King Kong and her random side chick actually are, I think I read somewhere that they're stand-up comedians and have a podcast or something like that. Basically just like every other JRE guest these days. But I'm pretty sure I've seen Kong before on Bad Friends, but I could be wrong. There's no way of really knowing who these people are. Anyway, if you haven't picked it up yet, these two are basically just two Valley girls who think they're funny and somehow made it onto JRE twice. Again, there's no way of telling who these people really are. But apparently King Kong does some acting as well, and she shared this story with Papa Rogan about the importance of acting in her life.
I have a therapist, and he says that I see in black and white. It's either this or that, and there's no in between.
Cognitive distortions.
Yeah, I do. And so when I'm acting, it forces me to have perspective for others.
Interesting. Because you're pretending to be a person, so you're thinking like a person like that would think.
When normally I wouldn't even consider it. I would be just like, this is the way it is.
Right.
So it really opens up it makes me almost more empathetic and everything. It makes me, So I really like it.
Because there is something about being able to think in gray. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we're definitely on the same page. Thinking in grey is definitely one of their biggest assets. But what I think one of Rogan's biggest assets is his ability to oscillate between jiu-jitsu bro, elk-eating gorilla, and valley girl. I mean, really, check out this next clip and tell me this isn't the most valley girl conversation you've ever heard.
Do you think we're ever going to get to a point where numbers are literally going to be like Instagram DMs? Like everyone's just going to be able to get your number?
For me, it doesn't really make a difference, right? Like if someone has your number versus having access to your DMs,
no.
Right.
Can't you just block them?
Yeah, you definitely could block them, but then they could start a new account.
There's something about having my number that seems a little more threatening than someone just having my...
It definitely is, but what I'm saying is when you think about it, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, when you think about it, that's what's weird. It's if you're responding and you have your announcements turned on, the notifications turned on, those little DMs are going to show up on your phone just like a text would.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
they can't actually call you up, but they can. They can go. Like a friend of mine called me through
Instagram.
Instagram app.
That's the scariest.
Yeah, I
when
was like,
random
I go, what
dudes...
is this? How are you doing this? He's like, dude, you can call people from Instagram.
Wow, I've been wondering the same thing for years as well. You can make phone calls and data calls. Wow, who knew? This is truly mind-blowing stuff here, guys.
Isn't it weird that Twitter, you pay for a check mark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
And
really
Instagram now.
Instagram too. So does that mean? But you can pretend to be. Can you pretend to be somebody and
Not
get
really,
a check mark?
because I mean, anyone
what
can
is
get a
It's
check
kind of
mark.
obvious when someone's pretending, though.
Well,
Right, but a verification. What does it mean? Like,
Nothing anymore.
So, like, if you have just a regular account and you have a blue check mark, does it give you access to other things? Like, what's the point of it?
I think it's just like
To have one.
There's people that get blue check marks and then they try to like reach out to people who also have blue check marks to like collaborate. You know what I mean?
Well,
And they're like, "Oh, I have a blue check mark, so I'm really official now." And it makes it like seem.
But you
like
can tell because they have like 16 likes.
well,
yeah.
what used to make sense is if like the Sara Weinshenk Twitter account was verified because you're a person, a public
Right.
person.
Right.
So that makes sense. That should be verified.
Right.
Like everybody knows this is her. So if there's a fake one, which there probably is a bunch of them, everybody knows the difference between the real one and the fake one. The real one is the blue check
Exactly.
mark. But if you could just buy a blue check mark,
It doesn't
what does
matter
that mean
anymore.
now?
Yeah. No, I know. It lost value when you could buy one. Everybody was saying
Well,
that.
especially for people like journalists or politicians, because if you can fake being them and just get traction on tweets, like
Yeah.
I'm sure those Russian troll farms do like that.
For
I'm sure they do
For
that. I'm sure they
sure.
make fake accounts. I'm sure they do.
They have thousands.
Who knows how many they have?
You know, the whole time I was watching that, I was thinking to myself, if only Joe Rogan knew Elon Musk personally and could have him on the podcast or just ask him, maybe give him a call just to clear all of that up. Oh, well, unlucky. But that is just so typical of these types of elites. They're so obsessed with being verified on social media so they can attract those ad dollars and elevate their status. So when Elon stripped it all back and made it available to anyone who was willing to pay $8 a month, they collectively had a panic attack and hit the addies. More on that a little bit later. Luckily though, we've still got JRE to bring us verified celebrities handpicked by the man himself. And that's how we ended up with this absolute gem of an interaction between Rogan, King Kong, and whoever that other chick is.
Oh, it's sick.
This is a stellar nursery visualization.
What?
Yeah, this is something that exists 6,500 light years away.
That is so cool looking.
Wild.
I
Like,
want
what
to
is
go
that?
there. This is nuts. What is that even?
I don't understand it.
When
But
I
whatever this visualization is, I would love to see like what perspective we're looking at. Like, how big is this?
How big is it? Is it a physical thing you can land on?
I don't know
This-
what the.
it makes me
It
feel
looks
more
like a
spiritual.
waterfall. Look at it. Looks like
when
a
I see that.
waterfall.
It looks like some Avatar.
It does.
It really
You
does.
know?
It's beautiful.
When you see like this, it makes me feel like there has to be a God.
No, but this is my
I
question.
think the universe is God.
I do too.
Can I ask you a serious question? And
If
it
you
might be
have
really
to.
dumb. It might be really dumb. How did they get that footage?
Wow. Just wow. That has to be the single dumbest question I've ever heard come out of a guest on JRE. But when you think about it, Rogan should have explained it a little bit better, don't you think?
This is a stellar nursery visualization. Whatever this visualization is, I would love to see like what perspective we're looking at.
Oh, yeah. Nah, he did make it clear it was a visualization. But come on, guys, words are hard, you know? That's why sometimes you've just got to go with the vibe of the universe. You know, all those vibrations that The Rock was talking about the other week? And just a bit of context for you guys, I think they're talking about jellyfish here, but I could be wrong. There really is no way of truly knowing. But just see if you can pinpoint the exact moment that Joe Rogan realized that he wasn't built for this anymore. I'll try and help you out.
Now they're trying to figure out, well, how are they learning?
I know how they learn.
How?
Vibes.
Vibes, man.
They feel the vibes.
They feel the vibe. Yeah, because
you don't have to have a brain to feel the vibes.
If we live in a vibrational universe where everything is frequency, it would make sense.
They feel the vibes.
They're vibing out down there.
They just go with what the flow is. They're very jelly-like. They just go with whatever the energy is doing already. That's why it seems like they know.
You guys seems like you came up with this theory together and you discussed this.
Oh, well, I just thought of it right now, and Sarah came on board with me, and I feel like we're onto something.
Yeah,
Are we not onto something?
Well, no, I think we live in a
vibes thing.
I think we live in a vibrational universe, and that things enter our experience based on the things that we think and the world that we create. Yeah. And so when you,
I just think if the fish are flowing this way, the jelly's gonna go this way too. And it seems like they know what they're doing, but they're just kind of going with whatever is happening around them.
Some of them are poisonous as like the box jellyfish.
Which means they know they need to be poisonous.
Yeah.
So, which means they're aware that there's danger. So
they're
aware.
Sentient in some way.
Yeah, they have no brains, but they're aware. I know a lot of people like that. Yeah. I know a lot of jellyfish.
Did you pick it? Could you pick the point at which Rogan realized he was done talking to these jellyheads? Let's take a closer look.
Grade 2.
Yeah, every man has that same realization at some point in his life, but for Rogan it came at the ripe old age of 56 years old.
It's
if
like
I go to an email to find...
I have to pee so bad that I can't listen to this right now. You know, like when you have to pee.
Go pee.
Okay, you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, yeah, go pee.
We'll hold it down.
We'll start our periods together.
You want to get crazy?
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm going to hit the salts.
Oh, yeah.
Ah! All right, ready?
All right.
Give me a countdown.
Daddy's gone. This podcast anywhere on YouTube.
The takeover, guys.
The Kim Congdon takeover.
Shank podcast.
I'm filming my special December 7th, Childless.
And also, January 14th, Comedy Store, Main Room, This and Friends. Also...
I hope this pee's long because we have a lot of plugs.
2 days after Christmas, Brea Improv.
KimCongdon.com for show dates. Childless. Please check out my special, everyone. Please. Childless on YouTube. It's coming out in the new year.
This
podcast. Ah! Oh, no. Did you almost drink that? Oh, sometimes you want to promote a show and you accidentally try to drink your salts.
Dude.
Did you try to sip a salt?
Dude. That one f***ed me
It
up.
looks like, I'm not going to lie, the inside of it looks like something
giving
that's...
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it looks like something that's been fossil. I feel
Very
like there's a...
Walter White. Ah!
Jamie, you want one? Nope.
Come on, Jamie.
Come on, Jamie. Have some fun with the girls.
I almost started this thing. I know exactly what it is. I
can't get in my other one because it's deviated.
That'll undeviate your septum.
All right.
That's it.
I'm sorry.
She looks like she's doing a guest star in Succession. Her outfit. She's doing
Don't hurt yourself.
I want Daddy's business.
Doesn't Daddy know not to leave two Valley girls together in a room with cameras and mics unsupervised? In that 2-minute space of time, King Kong and the other one explored the full extent of their personality. The funny thing is, those smelling salts are meant to wake up the brain. Didn't seem to work for them for some reason.
Well, this is good. This hits where a comet needs to get hit. Ooh. It's a brain wake up.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man.
Ooh, it clears it out, right?
Doesn't it feel like you could rip a tree out of the ground?
Oh, well, that's why they use it before they deadlift. Oh. That's what this is for.
Oh, so those smelling salts are used by elite athletes to get themselves up for a game or powerlifting or something of that caliber. Here I was thinking they were designed for people sitting in a podcast studio for 3 hours just to keep themselves awake. Luckily, there are no side effects, right?
Oh, can we get a problem? People get problems like
toxic large concentrations for prolonged periods can be fatal, but that's not.
Oh, okay. We should know that.
We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, you're fine, ladies. Keep sniffing away. And so Rogan became so visibly bored that he went back to basics just to get himself through the entire conversation. He had Jamie bring up a couple of bear videos. They spoke about UFO sightings. We already saw him try to steer the conversation in the direction of space discoveries, and he brought up the Big Bang as well. He really did pull out every stop to get himself over the line.
He has that video on his site of those two bears going after it. That's one of the wildest videos ever. Watch these two bears just fighting over mating rights.
No.
It's
Bears
so
fight crazy too.
They fight with jiu-jitsu. They have a guard. They do.
Yeah, they're
like,
trying to trip each other and shit. Yeah, you can see them grab each other's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Bears fight crazy.
From there.
Oh, he's got his own footage from Alaska as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow, look at that bear.
Yeah, you've got to look out for those jiu-jitsu bears. They'll get you. I bet Rogan thought to himself a few times during that podcast, I'd rather be mauled by a jiu-jitsu bear right now than have to sit here for another 5 minutes. And as hard as he tried to steer the conversation in a direction that actually interested him, King Kong just kept throwing in side quests for him to deal with.
What about the mermaids?
What about... What question is that?
Dude, the mermaids would rather see a mermaid over a Yeti or a Sasquatch.
Would you rather see a mermaid or a UFO? A real one?
UFO. 100%.
I would
give a about a mermaid.
But UFO could be anything. It could be the government. It could be aliens. It could be the government being aliens. A mermaid is different. A mermaid's a mermaid.
Imagine it's a hot
mermaid opens up the opportunity that there's whole other worlds of half humans under the water.
Yeah.
Or we got to start going inside before we go outside, Joe. We got to see what's going on in our before we start exploring.
Question. Would you rather see a fairy or a mermaid?
The mushrooms are kicking in.
A fairy.
Fairy,
For
right?
sure, yeah. Yeah. Fairy's more interesting.
I can't get into my
I'm
fantasy
into that
on here.
Fae life.
A mermaid is just like a person with a fishtail. Like, why is it so interesting?
Oh man, poor Joe. You did it to yourself, buddy. You should have learned the first time you had the Valley Girls on. So by the third hour, when Rogan was clearly struggling to stay awake, they got into a conversation that cleared a few things up for me. So for those of you who are still here and thinking to yourselves, how do people end up like King Kong and the other one? Like, what is it specifically that we can attribute to their degeneracy and mental decline? Well, the answer is apparently deceivingly simple and predictable.
If you're a doctor and you know that these things work and you decide that you have ADD or whatever and you go to your other doctor friend and he writes a prescription for you.
Right.
And now you're taking Adderall and you need it because you need it. Like a lot of people just think they need it because it is probably great. Like I haven't done it. I'm scared. I'd like it.
Oh, no, you like it.
That's the problem. Brendan Shaw broke his nose in a fight. Crow Cop, we fought Mirko Crow Cop, and he got his nose smashed, and he had to get his nose fixed. And they put him on oxys. And so he took the oxys, got the surgery, his nose was destroyed. Takes the oxys, and then just keeps taking them. Just keeps it like long after the healing process. He's taking them all day long. And finally his friends just came over to his house and took everything away. And go, hey, dude,
it's easy.
You got to stop. But it was hard. He said it was hard.
It was really hard to get off of Adderall too. And then now I know I have some friends who are still on it and there's like a shortage of it. And there's people that are hooked on it and there's a shortage of it. That was one of the benefits for me too. I was like,
when you're a woman, everybody tells you you look good. Yeah,
you're like, I can do it all.
Exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're like, I baked a pie and also called my grandmother to say hello. And the house is clean, and I'm a stand-up comedian.
And my hair is done.
Yeah, Bubba, hit those oxys and get them addies and baddies. Oh yeah, get it, son. But on a serious note, I don't think most people realize how many of these celebrity podcasting YouTubers have these kinds of problems. I mean, we always see the Brogan comedy brats sitting there sucking on something or chewing something else and drinking this and that. Most of these people just can't sit still. Did you guys see that episode of Two Bears, One Cave recently with John Stamos and Bert? I played a couple of clips from it last week, but if you haven't seen it, basically Stamos was tweaking hard the whole episode and couldn't shut his mouth. It ended up being him interviewing Bert for a couple of hours, and it was kind of hard to watch, but man, This really is a problem. It's stuff like this that actually makes me feel sorry for these guys. Imagine being so wired all the time that you can't just sit still and have a conversation. Even Theo Von, who I'm a huge fan of, said to Rogan after his first time on that podcast that it was the longest conversation he'd ever had with anyone in his life, just sitting down in one spot. I think us pedestrians take those kinds of things for granted. A lot of these people struggle to do basic things that all of us do on a daily basis.
Are you still on Adderall?
No.
Do you wish you were?
No.
Not at all?
No.
You never want to taste?
No.
Feeling a little down?
It feels really nice to be able to sleep. I mean, I was on it for so long, and when you're on it, it also makes you, it's really hard to live in the present moment when you're just thinking about sending emails. So I just stopped taking it cold turkey, and then I went into a psychosis, and then ever since then I've never taken it again.
How long does psychosis last?
Like 3 days.
Right.
Let me tell you, going to the psych ward will change you. 72 hours psychiatric hold will do something to you.
What happened in there?
The best part of being in there was there was like a music segment where this old guy would come in and he'd have like a tambourine and we'd all sit around.
Some old retirement home entertainment going on.
No, but it was the only thing I looked forward to, like the music time.
Yeah, that's really sad, but it explains a lot. Even for Rogan himself, I mean, the guy is totally wired, right? He does everything to the extreme because normal life has just become so boring for him. He wakes up, he does his cold plunge, he works out, then he switches between cold plunges and sauna, then he'll eat his carnivore diet, jump on the podcast, sniffing this, drinking that, smoking this. That's why I'm not a fan of this whole cold plunge thing that he's spread around like an infection to all of the Rogan comedy brats and anyone else who'll listen to him. He even got The Rock onto it the other week. I honestly think all of that stuff is just a gateway to worse things that'll take you down. Don't get me wrong, there's science behind the benefits and all of that, yada yada yada, but we're talking about elite athletes here. Why are comedians who sit around doing nothing all day, doing cold plunges and sauna and smelling salts and hitting the TRT? It's just so crazy. I'm so glad I don't hang around with people like that. It all sounds so fake and toxic. What happened to just eating fresh produce and exercising a few times a week? I sound like an old man, but these guys seriously need a reality check. If you need all those things to feel alive and get through your day without feeling down and depressed and lacking energy, then something's clearly wrong, because that's not normal. Anyway, I'll stop ranting now. That's my breakdown of what I think is one of Rogan's worst podcasts, and yet another sign that he really should just throw in the towel at this point. Remember the days when he'd have Snoop or Edward Snowden or Kanye on JRE? That's the Rogan that I miss. Now it's just a bunch of comedians no one's heard of who play a few sets at the Comedy Mothership and then they come onto JRE the next day like some sort of holiday package deal. He used to be ahead of the pack, bringing us cool stuff that we couldn't get anywhere else. He's not evolving his podcast anymore though. They're the same conversations over and over again with different guests. And the worst part is when you see the same guests doing the podcast rounds, jumping on all of his buddies' podcasts as well. Rogan used to get exclusive guests that no one else could. That's what made JRE the best podcast in the world. Anyway, that's enough internet for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider jumping on board so you get all my uploads right there in your feed. That's it from me. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
You know, I've always said that people could look into my brain because I feel like I'm pretty straightforward. Whatever I say is how.
Yeah, you're not really like a mixing up words type of person.
No,
But it's very different than being able to understand how you think.
I would rather that people see in my head, because I feel like I'm actually so straightforward that people think that there's more inside and it's actually meaner than it is. But I'm like, oh no, this is like all of it. Like when I say something and people are like, oh, that was kind of blunt. She must be holding a lot in. I'm like, no, that was it.